Kick off summer with Memorial Day savings at Lowe's. Right now, get 5 Scott's Naturescapes 1.5 cubic foot mulch bags for just $10. Plus, get up to 40% off select major appliances and save an extra $50 on every $500 you spend on select major appliances $396 or more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 5/28. Mulch offer excludes Alaska and Hawaii. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details.
You have a long list of things to deal with. Check dry eye symptoms off with Refresh Relieva PF Extra Lubricant Eye Drops, offering an advanced formula to soothe and hydrate your dry eyes. Refresh Relieva PF Extra includes moisture-locking technology that prevents further irritation and gives you lasting relief. You deserve relief from your dry eye symptoms, and your eyes deserve extra. Find Refresh online or in the eye drop section at all major retailers. FSA and HSA eligible.
You're listening to the Cruise Tips TV Unplugged podcast. This week on the show, we are answering questions from our Facebook group. This is going to be a fun one. Welcome to Cruise Tips TV Unplugged. I'm your host, Sherry, and we invite you to join our cruise-loving family as we travel the world creating cruise videos and vlogs. In this podcast, we talk tips, tactics, and strategies to help you make every cruise your dream cruise.
We're actually on a cruise ship right now in Alaska. Well, kind of in Alaska.
Kind of in Alaska. We just left the Inside Passage, so we're in that rocky area between the Inside Passage and like Victoria, where you actually get some seas, and it's been a bit bumpy. But friends, today's podcast, we're not actually going to talk about our cruise. We're going to share all of that information with you in a future week. I thought today we would get caught up a little bit here. We did a call for questions from our audience earlier in May over in our Facebook group community. And we said, hey, it's your turn to design a podcast for us. We're going to record a Q&A show with only questions for this group. And this is what we're going to do today. We're going to answer them and talk about all kinds of different topics. I think this is going to be a good show. For anybody who is interested in our cruise that's happening currently on Discovery Princess, we are on back-to-back cruises on up in Alaska on one of Princess's beautiful ships, and we will be talking a lot about it when we get home. But if you want to check out some social coverage, totally buzz over to Instagram, Facebook right now. I will be putting up some YouTube shorts as the week progresses, and we'll get lots of good, fun stuff out there for you. And we'll be documenting our back-to-back cruise experience.
Awesome. So how about a little teaser, though?
Okay.
What kind of questions are you going to be answering so people know what to stick around for?
Okay, so we're going to be talking about how to find a good cruise deal. We are going to be talking a little bit about how to find repositioning cruises, why you might want to book with a travel agent instead of booking directly, and stuff like that.
Stuff like that. That's what I'm going to stick around for.
I have to tell you, the stuff like that is Ginger's question is what's the difference between the Bahamas, the Eastern Caribbean, the Southern Caribbean, right? And the Western Caribbean? That's a good question. We're going to be talking about that too. So that's your stuff like that.
All right, roll.
Let's roll. Okay, we're going to start with the first question that came in. And you guys, I'm doing things a little differently. I'm actually reading right out of I'm reading off of my computer. So this is going to be definitely a less polished show, but if you hear a little tapping on the keyboard,
usually we're really polished.
No, but if you hear a little tapping on the keyboard, it might mean that I'm navigating back and forth between some screens, because when I'm doing these shows, I have to do a lot of research and find answers for you guys, because I don't know all the answers.
What?
And it's not like I can just ask ChatGPT, can you give me the answer to all of these questions? I have to actually research them. So if you hear a little keyboard action, that's me going back and forth between the screens where I research stuff. But we're going to start with Robin Riley Wright. Says, husband and I are booked on Enchanted Princess out of New York end of September. We've never cruised out of New York before and will fly in 2 days before embarking. Do you have any tips on navigating New York, and what's the best way to get to the Brooklyn cruise port? Okay, I'm going to start, Robin, with your last question first. In my opinion, the best way to get around New York is definitely going to be Ubers. In this case, you're there for a short time. You don't need to start getting on the public transpo too much. So just plan on taking an Uber or a Lyft to the Brooklyn cruise port. Now, in terms of navigating New York, again, you can do things a few different ways. You can try to stay close to the action. Let's just say you want to see Times Square. stay in Times Square. You'll never need an Uber. Just walk around that area. But if you wanted to get out and do other things like see Broadway shows, get closer to Central Park, just think about the things you want to see and try to position yourself in a hotel close to those things. But definitely, we're big Uber and Lyft users pretty much everywhere we go, even in other countries, because we like the flexibility of just being able to pull up the app and get an Uber whenever you want. And the Uber drivers in New York are really skilled and they were really friendly and nice when we were there. We had excellent luck with that. So I haven't spent a ton of time in New York, but I would say this, don't be afraid to do touristy stuff. Go to Central Park, go catch a show on Broadway, do all the things. Do not feel embarrassed. Don't think you have to be some, ultra cool hip person and try different things. No, do the touristy stuff and enjoy it. It's a wonderful city. It's kind of chaotic, but it's great. You might, at the end of September, I'm trying to think if she's going to have any fall colors yet. And the answer, I think, is no. Probably not. But it's probably still going to be a little warm in September out there, too. Pack some layers there. It sounds like maybe you're doing a Canada-New England cruise. So I would definitely take a jacket with you for those cold nights. The other thing about New York that is absolutely critical, Robin, is to get out on deck for the sail away.
That is true. That is good advice. It's probably one of the best sail-aways we've ever had.
Unbelievable. And when I think about places I want to go visit, honestly, New York is not high on my list. It just isn't. But man, is that a gorgeous sail away. And I would love to spend more time in New York after having been a few years ago. But that sail away past the Empire State past the Statue of Liberty is just outstanding. It's so beautiful. And under the Verrazano Bridge, so beautiful.
Do we have any footage of that in any of our videos?
I think so.
That she can see if she wants a sneak peek?
I feel like there's probably something on Instagram from back in the day. Let me take a look here.
Was that on Escape?
Yes, Norwegian Escape. I'm going to look and see. It won't take me very long to look for that footage for you, Robin. Just backing it up a little bit here on my Instagram page. Our son actually got out there with his camera during sunset and sail away.
So you're thinking it's on Instagram. We didn't do a video about the sail away from...
I don't think that we did. I think we were too busy with other things on that trip. But yeah, I think I found it. Okay, so if you go back to my Instagram page, you're going to want to look for November 11th, 2023, and you'll see some really pretty sunset photos. You'll see that that sun setting behind the Statue of Liberty. You'll see our family on the ropes courses. Oh, that's a fun ship I forgot about. Escape has that fun ropes course. That's so great. But you'll kind of see the New York skyline. It is stunning. It is a stunning city, and there's just that one post, but I highly recommend you check that out. It's a beautiful, beautiful sail away. All right. Thank you for the question, Robin. Nikki Grant says, we were recently surprised by additional dock charges added to our upcoming Italy cruise. Is this new? The rep we spoke with had an accent and we couldn't understand the explanation, so we just paid it. So, Nikki, it sounds like I'm thinking it's probably some kind of a new port charge for Italy. I know that in these European ports can take on some bigger fees and charges. I think that that you can trust it. I don't think that you've been scammed or anything like that. I don't want you to worry, but I'm not sure why they would do that. It sounds like they added them on to you after the fact. That is actually kind of weird. So if you're working with a travel agent, I think I would talk to your travel agent and see if you can get some resolution from them about this port fee or this tax that they've added on. I don't think it's super normal to add it, but they can do that if there's a fuel surcharge or something coming up that requires it. So sorry about that, Nikki. I feel like I didn't give you the best answer, but I think it's best to talk to the travel agent or the cruise line. Allison Vanderwerk said, how did you become a cruise influencer or expert? How could I follow your path? Well, Allison, it's a wild journey. I actually pursued cruise content creation for 10 years before I quit my day job. It was not an easy thing to pursue full time, but I think that where you start, if you're interested, is to completely think about what kind of content you can share with your friends and family regularly and just be yourself. I think the biggest mistake that people who want to try to start sharing about their experiences make is that they try to be someone else or they try to follow someone's style, and you want to find your own style and think about it. And also, don't be afraid to talk to the camera. No one's going to judge you, and you'll find your people just by being yourself and getting out there and being who you are.
Well, I'll add to that I think the most important thing really is to be authentic. I mean, that's probably another way of saying what you're saying, but also pick something that you love, because if you want this to last, if you don't pick something you love, it won't.
Right.
Because you're going to get tired of it quick, because it is work.
And you're always having to come up with new ideas, right? You have to come up with something new to talk about. If you don't love whatever it is, it sounds like Allison's looking at cruise and travel, but if it's not something that you want to talk about all the time, you're right. You'll burn out on that.
Yeah, just be authentic, because your audience is going to sniff it out if you're not.
Yeah.
But really, I mean, we're not about, how to become influencers.
Right.
We're about cruises. So let's circle back.
Yeah, sounds good. There is one last thing I want to say to Allison, and that is to think about if you're, having a niche. There's someone that I follow. I love her on Instagram and Facebook. She's Prof Cruise, and she basically shares funny anecdotal stories about her cruises, and she goes deep into food. And I think that finding the things that you like to go deep into is smart. Okay, moving on to Jana. Jana Stevenson Miller, when is the best time to book a cruise, and how do you know if you're going to get a good deal? If you're getting a good deal, what are your tips for finding bargains? Okay, such a great question. Jana, the best time to book a cruise, honestly, is as early as possible. So as soon as you know that you have that block of vacation time available is when you should book it and secure it, because the prices are usually better the earlier you book. There are last minute deals to be had out there, but you can't guarantee that you're going to get the kind of room you want or even the date that you want. So my advice is really, truly the best time to book it is when you know you want to go and you have the time available off work and you've decided on the ship and you're ready to go. How do you know if you're getting a good deal? Well, honestly, these days, the cruise line website prices aren't that different from like other outlets. So let's just say you wanted to book a cruise with your travel agent and they had a website and they have prices on their website, and you were trying to figure out if your travel agent was giving you a good deal, and it's a Carnival cruise. Go look at Carnival's website and see if the prices are pretty closely aligned. They shouldn't be too far off. The cruise lines these days don't usually give, they're not usually going to be like 75% higher. Back in the day, you would go to a cruise line website or you'd get a brochure in the mail and the brochure price was in a separate column and it was like 75% higher. It's not that way anymore. So just look at the cruise line website to make sure it's not too far off. Also, the inverse can actually be true as well. A good travel agent can sometimes get group rates. So if you're interested in doing a little searching there too, you can go to our cruise travel agent partner, Wendy and her team from Dream Vacations. You can go to cruisetipstv.membercruises.com and you can search for cruise prices there, and that could be a good way to do that. And then lastly, Jenna says, what are your tips for finding bargains? Well, everybody has to approach this differently. My tip for finding bargains is to book last minute. The truth is not everybody can book last minute, right? That's not realistic with our schedules. Maybe you're a teacher and you have a set time that you can go on vacation and it's always summer or spring breaks or whatever, right? So the truth is, the best way to find deals is to be very flexible in your dates that you can cruise. So if you really, really want to get the best price, you're going to pick a cruise ship that you love, okay? And you're going to say, I want to go on Harmony of the Seas. Go look at 10 different sailings on Harmony of the Seas and compare the prices. They may fluctuate wildly, thousands of dollars of difference, depending on when you sail. Also, summer is going to be very expensive, as are holidays. Spring break, Christmas, Thanksgiving, very much summer, especially to places like Alaska or out of places like Galveston, where lots of people love to drive to port and take their families. You step 1 week out of school, going back in session. So let's just say you look at a cruise on August 18th when school is still off and it's summer break. And then you look at that same cruise 3 weeks later, September 18th, could be thousands of dollars less. So date flexibility is your biggest secret weapon for finding bargains. Yes, sir. I see your hand raised in the back.
Well, I think also what you're saying too is you have to be able to recognize what is a good deal. So I think there's a certain amount of tracking you have to do.
Yeah.
Like you have to watch the type of cruise that you want. You can use something like our cruiseline.com plugin that we have on our website. I think it's just like cruise deals or something like that. There's a menu item.
And then you set a price alert. Yeah.
But yeah, or you can set a price alert, or you can just keep going back and checking. So when a deal does pop up, you recognize it. I think that's what I'm trying to get across. You have to be able to look and say, that is a good deal.
Sure. Love it. We're going to move on to a packing question from Mandy. Mandy says, I love a good fashion Q&A. I have a question for you. Packing cubes, oh my gosh, I love them. But for some reason, I stuff them up and I end up overpacking. This is your podcast, so what do? Fold or roll? And when is enough on the amount of clothes? Thanks, lovely. You're so cute, Mandy. I love her writing. Okay, Mandy, so to answer the first question, okay, the first thing you asked me is, do I fold or roll? I do both. And sometimes I'll even fold and roll within one packing cube. So if I've got a bunch of jeans, I'm gonna fold most of them, lay them down. But if I have a little extra corner space along the side of a cube, I might roll one pair of shorts or jeans and fill in the space with it. So you can think of rolling and folding as a Jenga puzzle too. Like, what are you trying to accomplish? And what you're trying to accomplish is filling all of the space appropriately, but without overstuffing the cube. Another thing is just use more cubes, Mandy. You want to, if you're feeling like you're stuffing them, grab 2 more and lay them out on the bed while you're packing and distribute stuff and see if that helps you. I'm going to be honest though. I do not always use packing cubes for every article of clothing. I highly recommend you combine packing cubes with loose packing, especially if you're trying to go carry-on only. You should take packing cubes, put in a few packing cubes into the suitcase, and then look at the bag and see where there's space. In that space, you should roll the rest of your items and squeeze them into the open space. It could be shoes too, where you're not going to roll your shoes, but you're going to shimmy things in there like shoes, curling irons, toiletry bags. It could be a spare jacket that you want to roll up and put in there. But think about rolling as a way to shimmy things into the sides and to fill space.
So I think you have like a third option too, at least when we're packing to go back.
Here comes sarcasm. I can feel it.
Yes,
I can feel it.
It is on the way.
It's coming.
So there's folding, there's rolling, and then you've got the stuffing part too.
Stuff, sit, and zip.
You just like stuff it in there.
And then sit and zip.
Maybe it should be called like bunching. You just bunch it up.
I really literally throw clothes in the suitcase at the end of it. I do. I'm over it at that point.
When we're packing to go, it's a little bit more moderated, but when we're trying to get off the ship the night before, things tend to fall in that stuffing category. Stuff it in there. Just get it in there.
Stuff it in there. And then the suitcase doesn't work well, and so I always have to like
she literally
kneel
does
on it or sit
sitting,
and then zip it.
Yeah,
I do.
You
guys, I'm a hot mess. I know. I am. Hopefully, I am your trusted voice in cruise packing. But sometimes we actually struggle to film our packing videos because I do bad things.
She does.
I do very bad things.
The amazing
that I wouldn't approve of you doing.
The amazing thing to me though is like the night before, I'll look at all of your stuff and say, "How are you going to get that in a suitcase?" And you'll say, "Be quiet. I'll figure it out somehow." And she does. She does. She figures it out.
It ain't easy. It usually involves a little bit of sweating, some heavy breathing, and some, and then I also get frustrated and have to take a few things out.
There have been times where I've come to rescue you, though. Not often, but there are times when you'll try to get away with something, and in terms of having it all unzipped and stuff bunching out, and I'll say no. Let me take a look at that.
Yes, he brings his efficiency approach to the table, and then we certainly have a more efficient packing strat. So Mandy, when is enough on the amount of clothes? Now, if you're struggling with that, a lot of our audience members actually put a document together and they write down what they're going to wear every day. And this actually makes sense. I'll be honest, I don't do this, but I know people who will say, okay, I'm going to write down the like a header for every day. So day 1, embarkation. Day 2, sea day. Day 3, Juneau. Day 4, Skagway. And then you stop and you think, what am I going to wear in Skagway? And then you write it down. 1 pair of jeans, 1 long sleeve t-shirt, 1 sweater, 1 rain layer, one hat. Okay. And then you know how many of everything that you need. And you could do it that way. So if you need that scientific approach, you're good to go. Otherwise, I would, first of all, don't stress about it. You're not meant to be a totally minimalist, I only take the things that I need person. Have fun with it. Pack what the heck you want. If you want to go carry-on only and it means something to you to not have to stand at the baggage carousel, it's going to be a sacrifice and you're going to have to do laundry. Most likely that is going to be the trade-off because it is very difficult to pack for a cruise into a small suitcase unless you're leveraging a pretty big carry-on bag. I mean, a personal item bag.
I think it's more complicated for girls.
It is.
Because when I pack, it's nothing like that. I say, well, how long is the cruise? 7 days? 7 shirts.
Yeah.
You know.
Sure. 7 days,
3
7
pair of
shirts,
pants,
and you know how many
8
underwear, socks.
Yeah.
But you also really sacrifice on some things like shoes. So like you'll take only your dress shoes, 1 sneaker, and maybe a flip-flop.
Just 1 sneaker. The other
one
foot
sneaker,
is bare.
you only get the right foot. One pair of sneaker. So shoes are also one area you can cut way down. But again, don't go carry-on only just to do it. You have to do it because it makes you more nimble and you have a mission for wanting to go carry-on only. You hate the luggage carousel. That's really our problem. We cannot stand waiting at baggage carousels, and we do prefer to be a bit more nimble with our bags, especially in international destinations when you might be really weighed down if you have a large bag. And maybe you're on public transportation and you've got this huge suitcase you can barely manage. That's hard. So,
one thing with the shoes, though, is you buy shoes that you like and you think are going to look good. I buy shoes that I think are going to travel well. So it's a different approach with the shoes.
Yeah, exactly. You can add comfort to my list too, but my shoes do not fit nicely in a suitcase. Not a single pair of them.
No.
They're wedge sandals. They have big heels on them because I'm really short and I like to add a little bit of height. And it's completely inefficient. And that's okay. Okay, Mandy, you're adorable. Have fun with it. Trixie has 2 questions. She said, I've done 2 transatlantic crossings and love the idea of repositioning cruises. What is your best recommended search tool for window shopping these types of cruises across brands? Okay, Trixie, I had a hard time with this, but I finally found the answer for you. This is weird, but the website cruisemapper.com has this section on their site. So if you go to cruisemapper.com/repositioning, they have a repositioning cruise finder where you can choose the year. So you enter what year you want to cruise in, and then you choose the cruise type. So again, it's cruisemapper.com/repositioning. Okay. Now, when you get to cruise type, you're going to choose between transatlantic, transpacific, Panama Canal, because even that is considered a repositioning. You're basically going from one ocean to another. Suez Canal, winter, spring, summer, autumn. So they have them broken down into all of these different subcategories that you can choose from. Then you can search a ship by name or search a cruise line and drill down. You can even search for a departure port or country. So let's just say I wanted to go 2025 and I really wanted to do a Trans-Pacific and I really wanted to go to Japan. I knew those 3 things. So I'm going to go ahead and just plug those 3 bits of information in and see if I can get anything. And it may be that you have to play around with it just a little bit because it might give you more, more technical information than you're used to. But like if you're searching for Japan, you might need to plug in the name of the cruise port. So you might need to plug in like Yokohama instead of just Japan. And then it's going to bring up a whole bucket of those cruises for you and you can get your choices and it'll tell you how many days it is. And it'll say where it's going from to. So it'll say like 25 days one way from Vancouver to Yokohama, for example, and then it'll have a price. So again, that's cruisemapper.com/repositioning. That is one way to do it. Honestly, most other cruise websites have a way to search repositioning cruises or Trans-Pacifics. So if they have a pull-down menu, you're looking for Trans-Pacific, Transatlantic, Panama Canal, or you're looking for repositioning. Trixie also said, any tips for researching embarkation ports? Something that helps in my planning is understanding the proximity and walkability of the cruise port to lodging or public transit. I travel on a budget, and if I can walk to port, take a public transit bus over a rental or cab, I'm down for it. It sounds like what Trixie is saying is, what's the best way to figure out getting to the cruise terminal at an embarkation port? To be honest with you, there's two things you can do. Trixie, I would search for, like, for example, I would search Cozumel Cruise Port Guide and see what kind of blog articles or YouTube videos. I'm a visual learner, so I might like if someone did a video on what it's like when you exit the ship in Cozumel. What is it? Where do you have to walk? Where are the taxis, right? All of that. So I would search those words, the name of the port you want, and then port guide, cruise port guide, and see if you can find them that way. Back to the Journey Travel said, why would anyone, oh, this is Brian. Sorry, Brian. I just saw that after I read your name. Why would anyone choose to book a cruise directly with a cruise line when a travel agent has access to lower prices with added perks? Even if they like booking with the line directly, they can transfer it to an agent and receive perks and help out a small business that works for free. Okay, Brian, so why would anyone choose to? I think it's control. I think some people like control over the booking. And I know that travel agents can let you control a lot, but sometimes people have had bad experiences, Brian, where I think the travel agent, once the person books the cruise, they feel like if they want to make a change or check on a price drop, or, you know, if they want to add something to the booking, that they can't do it themselves because the agent booked it, and then maybe the agent takes too long to get back to them. So travel advisors have to work hard to make sure that they have a system in place to get back to people quickly if they want to make a change, or else people are going to want to be in control of their own bookings. But I agree with you. I rarely ever would book something directly with a cruise line. I would use my travel agent partner to book it because I know that she's going to take care of me and watch for things, and, you know, I don't know, just be on the lookout for issues. So Ginger said, when I was a newbie cruiser, I really struggled to understand the different Bahamas, Eastern, Southern Caribbean, etc. I think breaking down the simplicity of that could be helpful. For example, where they leave from, weather, excursions, options, safety, even best if only cruising once. That was such an unanswered question. I couldn't convince anyone to explain it. Oh my gosh, so true. So yeah, Ginger, it's hard because they are all so different. And I think that we need probably some kind of a video on this with like an infographic, or maybe a full podcast dedicated to it. But let's talk a little bit about it and see if we can't do like Western versus Eastern. So you've got different types of cruises that go to the Caribbean. Like Ginger said, you have your Bahamas. Let's start with the off the beaten track ones first. Well, not really. Bahamas is not off the beaten track, but let's start with the less popular of the two, which is going to be, we're going to start with Bahamas and Southern Caribbean, and then we're going to talk about the very popular Western versus Eastern. So Bahamas cruises are typically shorter cruises from ports like Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Port Canaveral, and they're going to be to places like Nassau or Grand Bahama, maybe Key West, and they're generally going to be shorter, cheaper, maybe even on older ships, smaller ships. And those are going to be probably what I would consider your budget-friendly cruise, but you're not going to have the most exotic experience where you're really getting to see a lot of the Caribbean islands. It's just going to be like, okay, fun budget getaway. Well, maybe we don't want to cruise too far away. On the very reverse side of that, you have the Southern Caribbean. The Southern Caribbean offers something a little bit different, right? It's more southerly than the Eastern or Western Caribbean, meaning you're traveling farther. That also means that those cruises are a little harder to get to. They may be longer, they may have more sea days, or they may start from San Juan, Puerto Rico, and they're going to hit a lot of really incredible places that you couldn't see on an Eastern, Western, or Bahamas. And you're generally speaking, you could have drier and hotter weather because those islands are they're closer to being out of the storm zones. So in general, they tend to offer a little bit more of an exotic, unique experience. And people don't usually book a Southern Caribbean cruise for their first cruise, but it offers a lot of allure for people who have maybe done Western and Eastern and they're looking for something different. So the Eastern Caribbean, let's talk about Western versus Eastern. Most people, to be honest, start with a Western Caribbean cruise. Okay, they have crystal clear, beautiful waters. You can snorkel. It's going to have that Caribbean blue look. There's jungles everywhere. And they're very popular, right? You've got kind of like those resort style amenities everywhere. And they usually do touch on the Bahamas. They go to Nassau, they go to Grand Cayman, and they typically also go somewhere like Jamaica, maybe even, the Western Caribbean is also potentially going to go to Cozumel, Belize City, places like that are considered on the western side. The nice thing about those is if you live somewhere like in Texas, for example, you don't even have to fly to a vacation. You can drive to your cruise port of Galveston and get down to the Western Caribbean easily. You might even be able to go to the Honduras or some other areas, but these are the most popular ones. You can see ruins. And you're going to be still getting a lot of history, but more like Mayan civilization and a little bit more Mexico and Jamaica and things like that. Usually people first do a Western Caribbean cruise because it is the most popular and the cruise lines market them to newbie cruisers. Now, in my opinion, I love Western Caribbean cruises, but I think the Eastern Caribbean cruise is better for someone who's ready to take it to the next level, see some more lush and exotic islands, but maybe still wants the convenience of departing from somewhere like Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Port Canaveral, maybe even New York. But you can go to wonderful places like St. Thomas, Puerto Rico, St. Martin, San Juan, St. Croix might be on the list. And there's a lot of really fun things to do down there. You've got lots of water sports. You have got some incredible history. You have old Spanish fortresses out in those eastern islands. And there's just a lot to do there. And you also have a lot of different cultures and languages depending on where you're going. There might be French being spoken some places, Dutch being spoken in some places, maybe both, like if you go to St. Martin. And they can be really, really beautiful. It's hard for people sometimes to decide because there's so much to do. So I think that it's, starting with the Western Caribbean, not a bad idea. I'd love to see some people starting with the Eastern Caribbean because I think you get a little bit more deep into the beauty of the Caribbean when you go on that side. But at the same time, the convenience factor there can be very tempting to sail from the Western Caribbean side. But Eastern Caribbean is wonderful. Southern Caribbean is definitely like the more advanced kind of level of cruising when you're getting down into those islands, Aruba, Bonaire, Curacao, and more. But if given the choice, I'd probably send a new cruiser on an Eastern Caribbean with some nice port heavy with one private island day from the cruise line, and they probably enjoy it quite a bit. Okay. So Ginger, I hope I did okay on that. Heather McCuller-Myrick said, we booked a cruise in April 2026, making 2 stops in Mexico. What do you know about the extra charge Mexico is adding? We'll have to pay just once, or there'll be 2 charges. Okay, yes. So they just changed it. This is the great news. Actually, this happened. They had been saying that they were going to charge $42 per cruise per person, and then Mexico somehow came down to $5. So they finally got the cruise tax. And literally, we just found out about this, Heather, after I did the call for questions. This is really, really big news. So what was happening with this whole thing, you guys, is that Mexico was going to start charging this new fee in July of 2025. Like, it was coming in hot, right? They were taking their time to roll it out, but it was this thing where they were going to have like this in-transit fee that they charge for people that was kind of targeting cruise guests, right? So now, even though it started off at a $42 per person charge, there was a lot of pushback from the guests and from the industry. And they are going to start it out at $5 per passenger in July. Now, they are going to increase it incrementally over the years, but it's going to top out at $21 per guest by mid-2028. So it's not too bad. So basically, starting this July to next July, And if anybody wants to see this infographic, go to cruiseradio.net and search for Mexico cruise passenger tax. And Doug Parker has an amazing graph that he put together that has the pricing. So fee per passenger for July 25 to 26 is $5. August 26 to 27, $10. July 27 to 28, $15. And August 1, 2028 and onward, it's going to be $21. So yeah, the backlash really worked. They postponed it and they renegotiated it. And it was just going to be a one-time fee per cruise per person. But it really got some negative press because the cruise industry was like, no way, man, we're going to reduce our calls to Mexican ports because this is a big cost. So yeah, we don't want that. We don't want that. But it looks like it worked out. Worked out great. Okay, let's go to our next question. I think this might be our last question. Shondell Thomas said, is it better to use travel insurance through your credit card or get a separate policy? Oh, I love this question. So Shondell, honestly, I like both. So I travel a lot, so I have an annual policy, but then when I buy something on my credit card, I have the double insurance. I actually feel like it's worth having two policies for my particular needs. But the answer to this question would be, it depends on how comprehensive your credit card insurance is. Like, if you feel that your credit card is so comprehensive that it's going to cover you for medical evacuation, and it's going to cover any flight issues, excursion cancellations, problems on the cruise, then you're good. You're good to go with just that. But if not, you might want to buy at least a small policy. But unfortunately, it's going to require a little bit of research. You're going to have to think about what's important to you. Is it medical evacuation? Is it medical coverage? Is it trip cancellation that you want? And then start putting the pieces together for yourself and decide what your credit card offers. Pull out your insurance policy for the credit card. And even pick up the phone and call them. If you're like, okay, I'm worried that this could happen, X could happen. Call them and see what they recommend. And I think that's all the questions this week. I thought you guys did a great job. So Facebook group, good job, friends. I'm going to try to post a link in there for everybody. But thanks for waiting a few weeks for us. Next week on the podcast, I think we're going to start talking about our Alaska cruise. Definitely a popular topic this time of year. Everybody's getting ready. And I got to tell you, man, there's a lot of people up in Alaska this season, right, Mr. Cruise Tips TV?
That is true.
Very busy.
There's enough.
There's enough. It is very busy. You guys, Alaska is hot right now. Every year I keep saying it. It seems like there's more and more people. Also, it has been very cold for us.
It's hot, but it's cold.
Hot but cold. It's but it's cold. It's been cold this week.
It's a hot location in terms of the number of people going there, right? Mm-hmm. But the weather is cool. It has been very cool. Normally May for me is like the sunniest and has typically been quite warm. But man, have we had some of those cold breezes that'll make the hair on the back of your neck stand up. So remember, guys, layers for your Alaska cruise are critical. It is unpredictable up here. You could still get an 80-degree day. But make sure that you have a scarf, and you really need to pack a beanie for Alaska. I think everyone needs a beanie. I personally don't feel like I needed gloves, but remember that your head can, what did they say what was the statistic about? Where you lose your heat. You can lose 75% of your body heat out of the top of your head. So if you put a beanie on your head, a hat of some sort, a toque if you're from Canada, something with some insulation, friends, it has been a lifesaver for us on this one to have a hat. Even when my jacket felt like it wasn't really keeping me warm enough, if I put that hat on, I was instantly fine. So pack yourself some snuggly warm hats. And we'll see you all next week. Thank you so much for listening, friends. And big thanks to our Facebook peeps for bringing the great questions. Until next time, we'll see you on the high seas.
Thanks for listening to Cruise Tips TV Unplugged. If you like our show and want to know more, check us out at CruiseTipsTV.com. You can also find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram by searching Cruise Tips TV. We'd love if you'd leave us a review wherever you're listening to this podcast, subscribe to the show, and tune in next week. Until next time, we'll see you on the high seas.